for a couple minutes, but you know, I don't want to start talking about super important stuff for oh, Vasco Zuzu says thanks for being an awesome dude. Oh, I think he's talking to me. Well, you're welcome. I'm doing my best. Thanks for you being an awesome dude too. All right, can everyone hear me all right? Yeah, so if you're watching this later, just skip forward like 2 minutes or something. Yeah, maybe by 2 minutes there'll be some people here. All right, we got 4 people here. Oh, maybe I should start pretty soon. So today, again, I've brought my pad of paper, which I drew on some last week. And there was some stuff on here I was supposed to look up, like Eustace Conway. I looked him up. He's kind of a mountain man and was, I don't know if he died yet or what. I saw a picture, it looked like an obituary picture. I didn't really get into it. But I don't know if he's dead or not. But anyway, he was living in North Carolina, you know, kind of off the land and stuff. Seemed like a fairly cool guy, but I didn't watch that much about him. And then I started watching the movie Meet John Doe because someone recommended it to me. So I've been watching that with my kids, you know, like 20 minutes at a time, every now and then, over the last week. Oh, right here says morning exercises. I did not make a video about morning exercises this week. I was going to do it on Friday, but then I ended up having a town trip, and well, anyway, hopefully I'll do it this week. I can't do a video of morning exercises on Monday because Monday's too hard and there's not enough rest between things. So I just don't have enough time to pay attention to the camera and stuff. But I'll try to do that this week. Friday's the best because that's the day I have the most rest between my exercises. All right, let's open a new page here. All right. Whoa, we have 14 people here already? Let's just see what everyone said. Just wanted to say hi. I'm from Vermont. Hey, that's where I used to live and found your videos years ago when you were building your dome. Been following you since then. Hope all is well. Well, not all is well. There's too much plastic in the ocean and, you know, the planet's being ruled by psychopaths. But, you know, over here things are going pretty well. Okay. Do you miss hot baths and steak dinners? Well, I can have steak dinners, so that's not a thing. But hot baths, oh God, I never liked hot baths. My favorite baths, actually, I get closer to hot baths now, jumping in the ocean, because the ocean is warm here. But my favorite baths are cold. When I lived in Vermont, I had this 300-gallon tub that was fed from a spring, so it ran through all the time, and the water came out of the ground really cold, and I would, you know, do a cannonball in there. Oh, it felt amazing. Like at the end of a day of working on hot stuff all day, and I would jump in that thing even after it like started icing over. Like as long as the water was still running, it wouldn't ice over totally, and I'd crack off the ice and jump in. Anyway, let me get to my little monologue here. All right, I'm going to ignore comments for a little bit. I'm going to talk about something that someone mentioned last week. Someone asked me a question, and it was one of those questions where they asked it toward the end of like 2 hours, and I was like, I don't really have time to answer this in 5 minutes. This is just too big a question. And the question was something to the effect of, if a whole bunch of adventure builders moved here, and suddenly I had all these amazing neighbors who were problem solvers and had imagination and were trustworthy and responsible and they cared, and you know, just surrounded by really cool neighbors, what would that community be like? Like, what's the point? What's like, explain some. And there was more of a specific question, but it's not really the kind of thing I could answer specifically, so I'm just going to talk about it generally. And one of the things, I'm going to first talk about why I can't talk about it specifically, because that has a lot to do with what it is. So, you know, some people might think, well, this is supposed to be some kind of utopian community kind of thing, right? And sometimes people get these ideas of how to fix the world, because, you know, a lot of people are aware that there are a lot of problems in the world. You know, there are a lot of cool things too, but, you know, we're making a lot of mistakes that are very easy to notice and point out, and it would be nice if we could fix a lot of them. So often people come up with this idea for, a better civilization. Well, let's just call it a utopia, which is a bad word. But people come up with these ideas for a better civilization, and sometimes they'll figure out all the details of how this civilization would work and what it would look like and what the buildings are going to be like and what the layout's going to be like, and they'll maybe draw beautiful pictures of this amazing place, or even make videos of what it's going to be like and what it's going to look like, and maybe write whole essays on how things will happen and what will happen. And people really like that. I mean, I even like looking at that kind of stuff. It's cool because it's like, wow, that's what it's going to be like. But that's not really useful once you start, because well, okay, I'm really good at planning something in my head and then having it work in real life, right? Like, I'm really good at that compared to other humans. I'm sure some aliens will come along and think I'm an idiot. But relative to other humans, I am extremely good at planning something in my head and having it work in real life. And one of the things, probably maybe the most striking thing that I've learned over the years of practicing that and planning things and doing them in real life and honing that skill over a long period of time, is that no matter how precise I make my plans, no matter how many details I figure out in my head, and no matter how carefully I plan, as soon as I start doing it in reality, I can throw out half the plan. Because once you start doing it in reality does not care what you planned in your head. It doesn't care what you wrote down on the paper. It doesn't care what you wrote in a speech or in your videos or what you talked about. Reality is just like, you're going to do something and it didn't work out the way you wanted. Reality is just going to be like, well, that's just the way it is. And you can't negotiate. You can't, there's nothing. Reality is just like, well, this is just reality. Sorry, man. That's the way it is. It didn't work out the way you planned. So, well, that's it. And at that point, you have two choices. You either try to stick to your plan and force it and make it happen and go through and have all this difficulty, or you say, well, obviously I have to keep my plan flexible. And this is one of the reasons that I've learned to become so successful at planning something and having it work in real life, because I always keep my plans flexible. I know that once the rubber hits the road, you don't know if the road's going where you hoped it would go. So you have to keep your plans flexible. And often you get people trying to set up some society where they have the plan and they have the ideas and they can show all these beautiful images and maybe show some videos and all this writing and stuff. Oh, it's going to be like this. It's going to be amazing. And they get people all worked up and excited, and they get a bunch of people together and they're like, okay, let's do it. And then once they start doing it, they hit reality, and reality is just like, yeah, this is not going to work the way you thought. And then often the person is just like, no, it has to. And they this is one of the things. This is the big, this is why utopia has become kind of a bad word, is because once that vision runs into its first hurdle, the people making it happen often try to force their vision onto reality. And what ends up happening is they start taking away people's ability to actually problem solve. They're like, no, this is the way it's supposed to work. This is it. We have to do this. And then everyone loses their freedom, their ability to solve problems. And, they might end up getting kind of closer to the model that they had, the plan they had, but they end up destroying the whole thing. It might look pretty, but it's all ruined. So this is why I couldn't describe to you what an adventure builder community would look like. Like, what does it look like if you have a whole bunch of responsible, caring, imaginative problem solvers living in the same place? What does it end up looking like? I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, I could tell you some things. Those people are going to solve problems. They're going to come up against obstacles, and they're going to figure things out, and they're going to come up with solutions that you couldn't have predicted, that you wouldn't you wouldn't be able to figure out just on a paper planning it ahead. Things are going to happen, and all you have to do is just let it happen. And this is why, the idea of the utopias, they often just fail and turned into these horrible dystopias, is because they're trying to force a vision they're trying to force a vision into a situation where it doesn't work, and there isn't enough flexibility for people to solve and come up with ideas that might be way better than the vision that you couldn't have planned ahead. So, if there were a whole bunch of adventure builders living here, I'm sure that 10 years from now, there would be amazing stuff that I just couldn't think of right now. I couldn't describe it. And even just on the small scale of just me being like the only adventure builder here, well, I'm working on my kids. They're getting there. But like, if I look around at what I've built so far, and I just think, wow, this is crazy that this exists. This like, I did not see this coming 10 years ago. If you asked me, even when I started working on this island, if you asked me what it was going to be like, I might have some ideas, but totally different than what it ended up being. But it's amazing because I just give myself the freedom to figure things out and solve things and take advantage of whatever opportunities come up and blah, blah, blah. So I guess that's what an adventure builder community would be like. It would be it would be a difficult to define thing on a superficial level, but on a deeper level, it would be a community where people solve problems, where people figure it out. They make it work. They figure out how to do better all the time, constantly, and you never know what that's going to look like. Okay. So another thing I want to talk about in terms of that. And this is a big reason for having such a community, and it's not just me. There are other people doing communities around the world and stuff, and it's really good to have these kind of communities, because if everyone is doing the same thing, if everyone lives in our modern popular culture and everyone's doing the same thing, you end up with the banana problem. And I'm sure like 4 people were like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." And like 30 people were like, "What? What is he talking? What is the banana problem?" Okay, so many years ago, everyone was eating a certain type of banana, and all the bananas are the same. They're all doing the same thing. They're all genetically the same because they're not being grown from seeds. There's no variation between the bananas. They're all just like coming out from sprouts of the banana. They're basically a clone of the bananas. They were great bananas, amazing bananas. But then some disease came along that targeted that specific kind of banana. It didn't target that specific kind of banana, but that specific kind of banana could not handle this disease. Wiped them all out. So all those bananas were gone. Luckily, there were some other varieties of bananas in the world. So they're like, oh, okay, now we can regrow our banana civilization from some of these other types. And now the bananas we eat today, I think they're actually starting to have some kind of issue too. But it's really good to have some pockets of variation, even if you're going to have a society where like 99% of the people are all doing the same thing, working in the same system, using the same financial stuff, and blah, 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 blah. You never know when it's going to have a problem. Of course, today, it's hard to imagine anything going wrong because we've all elected such amazing, responsible, truth-telling leaders who always care about our well-being and are doing the best for us, or they're doing great for us, right? So, I mean, who could possibly imagine any of it going wrong? But the simple possibility is that at some point things could go wrong to the point where you basically consider it to be a collapse. How long did Rome take to collapse? Like 300 years or something? Anyway, it doesn't matter. If I mean, not that this would ever happen, of course, because everything's going perfectly there. But if at some point, civilization as we know it today collapsed, it would be in these little pockets of different societies throughout the world would become unbelievably important. Like that's basically what would save the world. And it's also it would also be really beneficial to be in one of those communities in the event of one of these collapses, of course. But I guess obviously today the world looks like it's going in the right direction because so few people are kind of getting out of popular culture and into any of these kind of communities. So it must be going well, right? But anyway, you would definitely want to be in one of these communities where, you know, you're taking care of, you know, you're kind of self-sufficient to some degree, taking care of your own food and energy needs and stuff like that. So anyway, also, besides all that stuff, having a community of adventure builders would just result in some amazing adventures and inventions and just cool creative stuff. So that's the answer to your question from last week that I did not have sufficient time to answer. And I think that kind of scratches the surface a little bit. Yeah. So let's see what's going on over here. Oh, and of course now I'm like 14 minutes behind the comments. So if I'm reading a comment and you're like, why isn't he reading mine? It's because I'm a little behind. And I basically read all the comments, so just put whatever you want. Sound and video is good. Excellent. Good morning, Steve. Do you miss hot baths and steak dinners? Yeah, so I already answered that real briefly. But yeah, I don't miss I never liked hot baths. Oh, probably because I've always been an athlete. I'm always exercising and stuff, so I'm always hot. Like even in Vermont in the winter, I would often just wear a t-shirt or sometimes no shirt, and just go out in the snow. And I would actually often in the winter, I would have snow baths, which is basically I would just go out in the snow butt naked with a bar soap and just pick up snow and put it on myself because I would be so hot from working through the day and climbing up ropes and getting whatever exercise I was that I could just put snow on myself and it would melt so fast. I'd be like steaming. My brother used to laugh at me when I'd come home from winter runs. Like I'd go running like 10 miles and then come home and I would just be like steaming like a lot. And he'd be like, ooh, I can see your stink fumes coming off you. Anyway, yeah, so I never liked hot baths. And steak dinners, yeah, I mean, I could have steak dinners if I want. I've never been that into steak dinners. I like, maybe it's just, I want to eat the food faster. So ground beef is like, oh man, he's like a burger. But I do like a good steak dinner now and then. Cold as hell here in North Oklahoma. Hell is supposed to be hot, I understand. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, so what is it? It's like November now, right? Middle of November. So yeah, everyone must be getting cold. Oh, well, not everyone in the northern hemisphere. Here it's just, I'm close enough to the equator that the temperature varies a little bit, but it's basically always beautiful and comfortable. I mean, it gets cold, but cold is still t-shirt weather to me. The people who live around here, they'll wear like winter coats, and I'm just like, oh, how can you wear a winter coat? And they're like, it's freezing out. I'm like, it's like 23 degrees Celsius, like 60, 70 Fahrenheit. Yeah, it gets nowhere near freezing here. Are you an engineer? I'm a person. I'm sure, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Like, is an engineer someone who has a paper that says they're an engineer, or is an engineer someone who engineers things and builds things? Like, I do build things. I engineer things, but I don't care about any such titles. Same in AR. Is that Arkansas, or AR is Arkansas, isn't it? Or Arizona? No, I don't know. Everyone's cold anyway. Yes, reality does not care. You're right. Yeah. You can plan all you want. Your reality does not care about your plan. Kind of like yesterday I put this bridge together. And I'll have videos about the bridge coming soon. But I made all these blocks. I showed them last week, right? The big styrocrete blocks. They were right there. There's nothing there now. So I made these big styrocrete blocks. and I was making them into like an arch bridge with like 6 individual pieces that kind of fit together. Not like fit together, but like, fit together with the right flat angles to make the arch. But so I took them out there and started putting them together, and yeah, it's like I had a pretty good idea of how it was going to go, and it went roughly how I thought about it in my head, except there were all kinds of things that changes. Like I was going to use these poles to hold each brick up, but I put a pole to hold the first brick. But then when I got the second brick up, I put the pole in. The first brick moved, and the bottom pole fell out. But then the first brick was being supported by the second brick's weight on it anyway, so I didn't actually need the pole in the bottom. And it was just like, I can plan till I'm blue in the face, but I'm not going to know all the details until I just start doing it. And I just kept the plan flexible and got the bridge up. It went pretty quick. My daughters helped me. This is really fun, actually. Hopefully that'll be a good video. Adapt, yes, you gotta keep your adaption, and this is the problem when you have bad leadership. When you have bad leadership, they often want to stick to some plan, and they don't have the imagination or the trust in the people they're dealing with to let them figure it out. And if you can't adapt to situations, you end up running into all kinds of problems. I don't know if I should mention this. So this is kind of getting toward the don't get too far into this kind of topic or you'll get banned from the internet kind of thing, but I can talk about it a little bit. But people who are not good leaders, who are leaders because of a title or some authority. Yeah, basically leaders who are leaders because of an authority that says, I am the leader and that is it. You cannot resist, They really don't like people who are real leaders. And the real leaders are the people who figure things out as they're going and try to help the world and try to teach and try to not really be like everyone's father, but kind of be like a world father. They try to help the world in general. And the like elected leaders or the leaders with their job title or whatever, they really don't like the people who are the real leaders. And today in our society, the people who are the real leaders are really getting crushed. And I would count myself among these people. And I've definitely felt it. But if you really want to see how this goes, I've actually dodged a lot of this stuff because I've learned from watching a lot of other people who are leaders, like watching them suffer. But if you really want to see this, and I've mentioned this documentary a bunch of times. There's a movie, you can get it free on YouTube. It's called Garbage Warrior. It's about Mike Reynolds, the guy who does the Earth ships. He's one of these people I'm talking about, who's like a real leader. Like no one appointed him. He's just doing it. And because he's doing a good job, people are like, oh, you're a leader. I'll follow what you say. I'll listen to what you're saying because it's good stuff. And with a real leader, as long as you are doing a good job, you are still the leader. And as soon as you start doing bad job, people stop paying attention to you. And this is the value of leadership that isn't part of authority. Because when you're in an authority, once you start doing a bad job, people don't want to follow you anymore, but they're stuck. They have to do it. But anyway, this guy, Mike Reynolds, the Earthship guy, all the politicians in his local area saw what huge influence he was having on people without being elected or hired with a name tag and all this stuff. He had no authority over these people, but all these people were following him and doing what he said and listening to his ideas. And there were all these politicians who were angry about it, so they just went after him with all this legal crap and just mired him in bureaucracy. And he wasted unbelievable amounts of time and energy just fighting against like local governments and bureaucratic nonsense. And as long as that is happening, our civilization is going to keep declining, because those people, the people who are trying to help and trying to make the world better, not because of any authority that tells them they're supposed to do it, but just because they feel in themselves like they need to do it. Those are the people who can save the world. Those are the people who can make it better. Those are the people who can create a future and kind of lead people into a better future, not into some utopia, just along a better path where things are being solved instead of destroyed. And right now our society is really, really crapping on those people. So, not that anyone asked this, but if I do get this question once in a while, like if there's one thing I could change about our society that would really turn things around and go in a better direction, it would be to stop villainizing and crapping on the people who are the real leaders, who are solving problems, who are trying to fix things. Anyway, I don't remember where that started. I just went on a pretty long tangent there. Hello, Aubrey. Came here from Exploring with Josh. I've heard a lot about this Exploring with Josh video, and it shows my old house. I don't know if I want to watch it though, because we talked about this a little bit last week. About how when you have some place you built and you loved and you put your heart and soul into it, and then you sell it or in some way transfer ownership to someone else, then it becomes theirs, and it might be better to just not know what happens after that, because that place isn't mine anymore. I don't own it, and I don't want to remain emotionally attached to it. I don't want to look at it and be like, oh, people are wrecking this or doing that wrong or whatever. Like, once I transferred ownership to someone else, I just kind of left it behind. But maybe I'll watch it at some point. Oh, Tomaters, how's it going, man? Forgot about the time change. Are you not good at teamwork? Who, me personally? I'm depends who I'm working with. Well, actually, no, I wouldn't even say that. No, I can definitely do teamwork. I built a bridge with my kids yesterday. I used to do lots of team sports, and I was rarely the official captain, but I was almost always like kind of the field captain. Like when we used to play soccer, football, depending on where you are in the world, it's either soccer or football. But I was never the official captain. But by the time I got to maybe a little bit before high school, I just started becoming the guy, that guy on the soccer field who's yelling at everyone and directing everyone and getting everyone to do the right things, kind of organizing the team. That was me. And, not in a bad way, my coach would be like, all right, you got to be there at the next game because, when you got to make sure you get out there and get you guys organized and doing all this stuff. And, my teammates would always give me positive feedback about it. Yeah, Jaimie, thanks for helping me out with whatever. And, with other sports and stuff, I can work with people. I can do good teamwork. Although I do find it difficult to work with people in a lot of situations. Like, often in terms of building stuff. But I think a lot of that just comes down to I need to work with other people who are kind of at my competency level, at my skill level, near or close enough that they're valuable. Because I can work with people who are at a lower skill level, but then it takes longer to do everything. So if I actually just need to get things done, I usually do things by myself. But if I'm doing something that is meant to be with a team, yeah, I can totally work with people. Haha, do I have Starlink? No. The only way to find the best way to do something is to try different ways, including the bad ways. Yeah. And you'll probably never find the best way to do something, Captain Insano. Yeah, I mean, if you don't try things, even often the bad things, and I've done this occasionally in videos. I'll even say, well, I'm gonna try this, even though I don't think it's gonna work, because I think there might be something valuable in it. And often, yeah, things come up that I didn't know were gonna happen, couldn't have planned, or maybe I could have planned if I thought about it long enough. But just trying stuff out, man, you get so much feedback. So yeah, it's really good to try things, even things that you don't necessarily think are gonna work. Howdy, Sam. Oh, Vasco. Yes, the Starlink question is pretty funny. Ha ha ha. I like it, I really do. I don't know what Eric's talking about, but he likes something. What do you think about an adventure builder think tank? Maybe a think spider tank. Yeah, we should build a giant spider tank, and then everyone can get in it, and we can think about stuff. I don't know. Oh, I just read the next comment about the bananas are dying. We'll get to that in a second though. An adventure builder think tank. I don't know if I'd want to have like, a think tank like they have those corporate think tanks where they put a bunch of people in a room and they have to figure out what everyone's going to do, because like I said before, there's a very limited amount of usefulness in that, because once you hit reality, like, things are going to change. So I think it's much better to have, like I was talking about before, a community where you've got a bunch of neighbors who are all creative. Let me move this. I'm getting a little bit of light up from that corner over there. Is that better? That's better. Anyway, it's better to have people who are planning things, but also doing things in reality, and kind of crossing over a bunch of different arbitrarily defined lines of, planner, builder, inspector, some people who are involved in all that stuff, not just a think tank. But I think, a think tank would just kind of happen naturally. Okay, Eric says, yeah, the bananas are dying. I know about it. Yeah, how bad are they dying? I hear there's, on my bananas here, people have told me that there's this thing that basically turns the leaves brown, and the result is you pretty much get half as many bananas as you would get when the leaves would stay green longer, because the leaves will work. It's just they die faster than they normally would, so they don't get as much energy into the plant. Although my banana trees right here might not have it, because I got the first few bunches of bananas were enormous, like really huge, the biggest bunches I've seen. I don't know, like maybe ever. It could have just been a really good soil spot. But yeah, at some point, maybe they'll get the disease and my bananas won't come out as much. Question. Ooh, Alex Moore has a question. If a community of people came together like this and everyone is self-reliant, would they really want to be in a community? A lot of people at that level would just want to be left alone. Well, I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable question. I think, though, a lot of times, I mean, some people just want to be left alone. Fine. But a lot of times people want to be left alone, and this is me a little bit. A lot of times people want to be left alone when they're self-reliant, because their ability to do a lot of different things results in other people showing up at their door saying, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And like no one just comes to visit to say, here's a hug. I love you. You're a great person. Let's hang out. No, everyone shows up and they're like, oh, you know how to do this. You have this tool. I need this. I need it. Everyone just needs stuff. But if I was in a community with like a whole bunch of other people who are also good at stuff and could take care of themselves and take care of their own crap, and then, when I see them, they're not constantly asking me to do stuff for them, I would definitely be more social than I am now. Not that I'm antisocial. I'm actually trying to be more social lately, for various reasons. But I think what you're talking about there is a lot of times people end up kind of hermiting for the reasons I was saying there. And, some people do just want to be left alone, and that's fine. If someone wants to be alone all the time, what's the problem? Although, if you have a community of cool people and everything, there are specific circumstances where it is very valuable to have like-minded people. For instance, if there is some threat to someone, like, so for instance, in the United States or in Canada, where I lived for a long time, it was a common circumstance for someone to be, building a shed or doing some kind of renovation on their house, and if they didn't get a permit, some neighbor would complain, the police would come and tell them they have to tear it down. Even though they're just trying to to improve their own house on their own freaking property, right? But if you live around other cool people, they wouldn't pull that crap on you. And when the police showed up, maybe they would all come out of their houses and walk over and say, hey, what's the problem? Let this guy do what he wants. Hey, well, you know, like, and start pushing back a little bit. And maybe if you have a whole bunch of people who are like-minded like that, and I don't mean like-minded like they all think the same things. I mean like-minded like they just want to make things better. You know, they could kind of protect their community. And then, you know, of course, if a zombie apocalypse happened, then, you know, it's really nice to have like a whole bunch of people ready to fight off the zombies or, you know, whoever else is causing problems. But yeah, there are a lot of circumstances where even if you have people who are basically keeping to themselves most of the time, every once in a while there comes a situation where it's like it's really good to have like 50 people with, you know, maybe shotguns or something, you know, just in case. Oh, someone's talking about risk of monoculture. Yeah, risk of monoculture in bananas is the same as a human society. Cavendish, that was the old bananas, right? The Cavendish bananas. I think that was the old ones. I did at one point know all the details of this banana situation, but all right. Eric says it was banana blight. I always think it's funny when they call it blight because it's not. It's just like problem. But yeah, banana blight, crossbreeding bananas. What's going on here in West Virginia is the white oaks are dying because of a blight like a banana blight. So all the white oaks are getting some white oak sickness. That's terrible. White oak is great. It's split straight, if I remember correctly, which is very useful when you're trying to make things like with boards and you don't have a lumber mill. How do you find Jaimie on his island? How do you find me? Well, if you're on my island, then you just say, hey, Jaimie, what's up? Although you can see my house from pretty much anywhere. And just look for the naked guy running around. Did it just get really dark? Holy cow. I just noticed on the camera how dark it's getting. And then I looked out the window. And yeah, there's like huge gray clouds. And my electricity's still fine. Do you mean how do you find my island? That's probably a little more complicated to answer. Maybe you email me and say you want to visit or something, and then I can give you directions. But even if you're near my island, it's not obvious that my house is here. I kind of did this on purpose. I left like the perimeter around my island kind of wild and jungle, so that when you're in my island, like I can look through the leaves and see out to the water. But if you look from the water and look into the island, it's just like leaves. It just looks like almost like a raw jungle. Resilience allows for resistance to a collapsing system. Yeah. Narrow. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, brother. Oh, what was Narrow saying? I don't know. I didn't keep up with that. Are you going to save the world? Am I going to save the world? I do my best to do my best, and you know, whatever happens, happens. And that's all I can do. I'm not specifically trying to save the world or anything, but I don't know. Maybe I am kind of trying to save the world. I'm trying to make the world as good a place for my children and grandchildren and all the kids of the future as I can. So I don't know, whatever that means. Jeff, you just made a big dragon, didn't you? I want to hear about that. Anyway, the idea of accepting that reality doesn't typically mean ideal is powerful. Reality doesn't typically mean ideal. If you try to force the world to be ideal, you will cause problems. Well, yeah, if you try to control too much, you end up with all kinds of problems. Even if your control is accepted by a lot of people, it often ends up creating longer term problems because you know, if you have a society where there's a lot of control, people start losing their ability to be responsible for themselves, and over time they become more and more irresponsible, and then you, as the governing body of whatever type or the whatever authority, have to control those people more and more because a lot of people are just giving up more and more of their personal responsibility. And and then the other type of people, the people who are trying to be responsible, they end up really getting crushed because the government or whatever authority has to implement more and more control over these people who are becoming more and more useless. So they have to control everybody. So the people who are trying to be responsible and doing things and do things in smart ways and stuff, they just get the raw end of the stick, and things get difficult for them. And plus, you can only be so irresponsible before things start collapsing. And I feel like we're seeing some of that, you know. Yeah, Steve, I believe you're right. It's a transition that each individual must make, like a pilgrimage on their own. Yeah. The only time I was ever in Vermont, I remember it smelled like a Yankee candle. It must have been all the hemlock trees, all those, what are they, deciduous trees? Coniferous trees. Coniferous trees are the ones with needles, right? Sorry, it was a serious question immediately followed by a silly question. I'm a bit behind because my service is laggy. Oh, I'm a bit behind on the questions too. Steak is yummy. Yeah, it is. Who needs a bath when you have a wet sauna? Oh yeah, I don't want a sauna either, man. I don't like I've always been hot partly probably because I grew up in Canada where it was cold a lot of the time, so I was used to being in the cold. And then I was always doing sports and running around and stuff, so I was just always hot. That's why I'm always like wearing no shirt here, not always, but often. And I do love jumping in the ocean every day, though. I'll have to show you my beach sometime. It's not like a big, amazing beach. It is a little amazing beach. An example of the ideal causing problems would be, what if you discovered the fountain of youth and nobody ever died? What a wonderful world it would be. Well, not really. Think about overpopulation. Yeah, that would be... Yeah, it would be overpopulation, and the population would become stagnant. You'd lose the ability to evolve, which we kind of have lost. We have kind of lost the ability to evolve because we've just set up a society where there's no advantage for excellence anymore, Particularly no advantage in terms of having more children. Often people who are doing more end up with less time to take care of children. They end up with less support. So we're actually supporting people who do less more so they can have more children who are, maybe genetically inclined to do less. It would be better if we just kind of stepped back a little bit from that. But that's a whole other can of worms. There's a lot to unpack in that, so I'm not gonna. Oh, hell is different for either side of the hemisphere, it seems. In Africa, they say hell is cold. In Norway, they say hell is hot. Oh, tomato, potato, yes. What would cold hell look like? Everyone would be... Oh, I guess people wouldn't get snowsuits then. But when I thought of cold hell, I just thought of people building snow forts and throwing snowballs at each other. But that probably wouldn't be hell. They'd probably be more like freezing to death. Could you please video more of the nature, sunsets, the sea, underwater, etc., so we get a better idea of your surroundings? I can, actually. I've been thinking about doing that more. And like I was just saying, I kind of feel like I should show my beach. There is a reason that I don't show all the pretty stuff that much. It's kind of because I don't know, people often get this idea that since I'm living on an island, I'm like hanging out on a beach, drinking mimosas. I don't even know what a mimosa is, but I've heard that many times. Oh, I can come visit and we can hang out on the beach and drink mimosas. And I'm like, no. Homesteading is a lot of work and a lot of industriousness and doing all this stuff. But that's not all it is. There is definitely some hanging out on the beach, and there's beautiful scenery, and I love being outside here. It's amazing. And sometimes things happen that I don't have a camera on me at the time. Like my last trip to town a few days ago, I was driving, my pedal boat, and I saw some dolphins like swimming straight for me, and I was like, and like after like 30 seconds, I was like, oh wait, they're not heading this way, they're heading straight for me. And then they swam right up under the boat, and we're like swimming under the boat, and the water's so clear, like you totally see them. Oh, and my boat right under me, like in front of my chair, is open, so I can see the water, so I can see them, like the dolphins swimming right under the boat. This is beautiful. But I think even if I had a camera, I mean, it wouldn't do that kind of thing justice. It's the same thing. It's the same kind of thing when dolphins were like outside here, just jumping up in the air, doing flips and stuff, just because they were having fun and playing. This is just beautiful stuff. And then yeah, sunsets and gorgeousness. A lot of that's kind of hard to capture on a camera, but I'll work on doing some of that. It's not going to be as good as it is in real life, but maybe I can talk it up a little and make it seem like it's almost as good as it is in real life. You're awesome. Keep creating. Never stop failing. Oh well, thanks, Aaron. I will definitely keep creating as long as I can. You're speaking about Muhammad Ali. What did I say about Muhammad Ali? I don't remember what I was talking about. I'm trying to think of what I said that might have sounded like Muhammad Ali. Well, it just started pouring outside. So if you hear a sound that sounds like, that's just the rain. Knows all those gray clouds. Each one teach one. Each one should teach one. Another thing I really like is the term Ubuntu, which basically means I am because we are. Like I am happy because we are happy. I am sad because we are sad. In a greedy society, that doesn't mean anything. It's not even a word. Like in English, there's no equivalent word for Ubuntu as far as I know. But in some African language, Ubuntu basically means I am because we are. So you can't be happy if your neighbor's not. Because I am happy because we are happy. If your neighbor's miserable, well, I'm miserable because we are miserable. So let's fix it. We don't have that concept where I grew up, which is unfortunate. And an engineer is someone that takes existing technology and uses it in a beneficial way. Well, then I'm an engineer, yes. However, I just want to mention a quick little thing. Often when people assign titles like that, the implication is that the person is not something else. So I'm a human being, which means I can be an engineer, an artist, a father, not a mother. Maybe I could be a mother sometimes. No, I'm not a mother. Lots of different things. Farmer, whatever. Have you considered building a methane generator for cooking gas? Why, yes, I have built one, as a matter of fact. It's right over there. It's been there for like a year or something. And I have not tried the methane. I haven't tested it to see if it's actually working. I just haven't gotten to it. And I do like cooking outside on a wood fire, like in a rocket stove thing, just like an insulated tube. And part of the reason I like that is because it does make a bit of smoke, which keeps the bugs away. And if I'm cooking and it gets to the evening, in the morning and the evening are when the bugs are out here. Generally in the middle of the day, I can go out with, no shirt on and it's no problem. But, early morning and late evening, when the sun's just coming up or going down, the bugs are out. We call it bug time. But if I'm cooking breakfast or dinner at that time, I'll maybe throw a leaf into the fire every now and then to make a bit of smoke, just keeps the bugs away. But yeah, at some point I need to get a pipe hooked up to that methane producing fart machine thing and see if it actually works. Dude, this is my brother, Mark. What's going on, man? Dude, I watched a couple vids from people who found your Vermont place. If I were you, I wouldn't watch them. Okay, so I shouldn't watch them. Okay, I will not watch them then. Thank you for the recommendation. I wasn't sure if I should. Good day. Do you think a shark slicer boat could have enough batteries to do the round trip? What would be the biggest? What would the biggest challenge be? Okay, a shark slicer boat, like I'm presuming a round trip like to town and back. I did one time in the shark slicer do a trip that was basically equivalent. Yeah, it was equivalent to going to town and back. Almost the exact same distance, actually. And on the way back, I had a really terrible headwind and there was a storm, and I still made it. And I had 8 deep cycle lead acid batteries, like golf cart batteries, 6-volt golf cart batteries. I had 8 of those on the boat, and it made it. My voltage was getting a little low by the end, but it did make it, and didn't destroy the batteries or anything. But I wouldn't want to. Partly I did that because I kind of wanted to see if it could actually do it, and I did that trip at night, so there was actually no sun at all. Just because I was being sneaky. No, it's because the tides were right at night, and at night it had been very calm for a while, and in the daytimes it was like being real stormy. But by the time it got to the morning and the sun was just starting to come up, it got pretty stormy. Anyway, so yeah, I did do a trip that was the equivalent of going to town and back, just on batteries. But I wouldn't want to do that over and over because it'll use up the batteries. Of course, I don't have to do it over and over because I can charge the batteries while I'm driving. I've never actually taken the shark slicer to town, but maybe I will at some point. I want to renovate it and put pedals on it, change the solar panels a little, make it lighter. Anyway, I have some stuff I want to do to it. Maybe you go scuba diving for salvage. Well, occasionally there are like sunken boats, like sailboats and stuff. And I'm thinking at some point in the future when I have more time, when I have more food growing and, my roof's done and, a bunch of other things are done. When I get more time, I want to do things like, diving for salvage, like rescuing sunken ships or taking parts off them or whatever. And when I lived in Vermont before, it took me about 5 years to get to the point where I could sit in my house and be like, oh, everything's pretty much taken care of. Now I can just kind of like do whatever. So I've been living in this house for a year, and I was working on it for like 2 years before that. And before that, I was working on all Deshana's stuff, and I don't want to get into that. But like working on my place, I've been here for about 3 years. So maybe within like 2 years, I'll be at a point where I'm like, all right, I got all my second and third floor done. I got food growing, and I'll get to a point where I'm like, okay, now I can do some of those kind of less necessity things, kind of those more fun things. Fun like diving into muck and unscrewing stainless steel bolts under the water and dragging them out. That is totally fun. I want to be the Mike Reynolds of Aircrete. Do it, man. Jeff, I want to hear about this dragon. Because I thought it was you who posted a picture of a big steel dragon on Facebook. Oh, Slee, love from Sweden. Hey, wait, what kind of name is Slee? Is that your real name? It has 3 E's in it. I'm trying to look at the picture. I can't tell if it's a boy or a girl. Spray the banana leaves with 2 melted aspirin in a gallon of water. I don't think I want to do that to the banana trees all the time, because if I could do that once and like they'd be fine, but I think a better solution would be to have a variety of different bananas, because there are different varieties of bananas. Steve says, one issue I see with the world is people wanting to decide what others need. That is actually a huge problem. Yeah, you should decide what you need, not decide what other people need. For instance, Jaimie, you don't need so many boats, so we steal your boats and give them to the boatless. Yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, totally. Even though I do use all my boats, because I often have, well, not often, but I occasionally have friends borrow them, or I'll use different boats for different things. Question. Is there a Jaimie Day already there? Because it should. I think because there should be. Well, Jaimie Day would be May 3rd. That's my birthday, right? Jaimie Day? I think that's Jaimie Day. And when I lived in Vermont, every year, I don't remember exactly when it started, but it went on for several years. Every year during the week of my birthday, like people would come visit, like a lot of like YouTube fans and just people from all over the world. It was crazy. People from like all over the world would come to visit, and we just have like an adventure builder week. And some people came during the week, some people just came for that weekend or whatever. It was pretty cool. And I kind of want to start doing that again. Maybe next year, the week of May 3rd, whatever that is, I'll have a come visit and camp out on my island kind of thing. I've been wanting to do that. To me, and that was actually a really cool thing because I met some really, really awesome people doing that. Anyway, to me, thinking is better done when doing something. Often my best ideas happen when I am doing something completely unrelated. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like when you're on the toilet, extruding, and you're suddenly like, oh, I figured out how to do the thing. And then you have to go like write down the designs before you forget them. Yeah. I don't know. I do my best thinking when I'm not doing anything else. Like when I'm really trying to focus on something to figure out the details of something. But yeah, like the more imaginative, like kind of random idea generator, that can happen anywhere doing anything. And it is often the kind of thing that happens when I'm doing something else. Like I used to always get ideas while I was running. Like I'd go for like a 10-mile run, and halfway through I'd be like, oh, I got an idea for a thing. And I'd just have all these different ideas. And by the time I got to the end, I'd write down a bunch of stuff and try not to forget everything. After a lot of time, I found your island on Google Earth. Oh, you should definitely send me an aerial photo. That's not creepy at all. Yes, it is. It is creepy. It's fine though. Have you heard of people? Wait, I kind of want to try. What if I told you I found your house on Google Earth? So me being me, hey, I was like really curious. I mean, not to be creepy or anything, but then I was like, I'm gonna go on Google Earth and find your house. And I found your house on Google Earth so I can watch you. Haha. All right. Have you heard of people using banana stems to shred into fibers, then weaving them into rugs and other useful things? I have heard of that. And I watched a video on it once, even. Like the guy basically took the banana stalk, the banana stalks are kind of like spongy. Like they're a lot of water, and it's not like wood or anything. It's also not really like grass. It's just kind of spongy. I don't know. But they do have these long fibers in them. So if you take it and put it like on a thing like with a bunch of nails sticking up, and like jam it on the nails and then you'll pull off all the spongy stuff, and you'll end up with these long fibers that you can then use to make clothing and cloth and stuff. And I have not tried that, but maybe one day I will. Have you heard of people? Yes, I've heard of it. Do you think a land vehicle like a bicycle with your solar roof concept would work, like the Shark Slicer? Yes. If I was going to do a land vehicle that was solar powered, I would probably want to have batteries in it, because with my boats, whenever I'm driving and the sun is not on the solar panels, I'm just pedaling, so I slow down, and then the cloud moves out of the way, the sun comes out, I speed up. And with a boat, that variation in speed is fine. But if you're on a road driving with other cars and stuff, you probably need to be able to keep a consistent speed, so you probably need batteries to buffer that. Bicycle would be difficult because there's not a lot of space to put solar panels. But I used to think about like an RV, like a recreational vehicle, nice and wide and long, but maybe make it shorter than a standard RV, just so so you don't have so much wind resistance. But keep that long wide part, and maybe make it so you can crank it up so you can so when you park somewhere, if you wanted to get in the big space, you can. But anyway, just have that whole roof covered with solar panels, and you could get a lot of energy out of that, and it would totally work. But yeah, basically you'd want a vehicle with a lot of space for the solar panels. Of course, you could also make like a four-wheeled bicycle, a quad cycle, and just make it really lightweight and aerodynamic, and you wouldn't need so much solar panel stuff. You know, you could run that off like a quarter horsepower, and yeah, I mean, a person pedaling is like a quarter horsepower. I think that's actually more than most people can pedal. Greg Stiles said, "What up, homie?" Question: would you ever raise meat animals? I raise them to my face and bite them. Probably. Deshana currently has chickens, and we don't usually eat them. We usually just have the eggs. But there was that one rooster that was crowing like at 2 a.m, and after a month of this, Deshana was like, "Oh my God, can we just eat the rooster? Just that one, that really pretty, beautiful, huge. It was a huge rooster." So we ate him. We also ate a couple ducks. But yeah, for the most part, we were still, buying meat from wherever. A guy came by Deshana's place recently with some pork that they slaughtered that day. It was just a couple of guys in a wood canoe. They do a good job, and the price was fine. And we got some of that. For me personally, on my island, I want to get plant food going first. Like, I don't want to have animals that I have to buy food for. So if I was going to have chickens, for example, I want to first be growing either enough corn to feed them, or have like a big compost mound that they can root through and get the bugs, or like, I want to be able to feed. I don't want to have to buy food to feed the animals so they can feed me, But then some animals will just eat grass and stuff like that, like rabbits. But they'll also eat all my vegetables. So yeah, I want to get vegetables and root plants, and I want to get all my plant food growing first before I get into animals. But Deshana does have animals. What do you think of the modern cultural trend of attention as commodity, and today's generation looking at influencers as people to emulate? Okay, so basically I might be messing this up, but basically the question is, how do I feel about the cultural trend of like attention as commodity being like people just trying to get attention? So like posting something on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and just trying to get as many views and likes as possible, and putting aside all other considerations. That's idiotic. It's so dumb. It's completely idiotic. Oh, it's like, yeah, totally dumb. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's sort of like feeding your ego something that will not nourish it. It's like it's just like taking drugs. Like, I can take heroin and feel great. Oh, I feel great. And then the more, but it doesn't actually do anything for me. It doesn't make me better. It just makes me feel better, very temporarily. And then because it didn't actually make me better in some way, that good feeling is going to disappear pretty quick, and then I need more heroin, and it's just, and then you end up just taking it to not feel bad, and it's just the same thing. An addictive waste of time and so much energy. It's such a huge waste of human energy going into that. Yeah. And influencers as people to emulate, I mean, like, if you're emulating someone who's doing something good, fine. But if you're just emulating someone because they're getting attention and you want to try to get attention too, it's, yeah, total waste of human energy. Can you imagine like aliens coming to our planet and seeing that? Like, Like imagine we, got our society worked out to the point where we could, make cool spaceships, and it wasn't, having a spaceship was kind of like having a car. You could fly around, and we found some other planet with other creatures there, and we looked through our binoculars down at the planet, and we listened with our magical listeners, and we could translate what they're saying, and you just see like a billion creatures saying, "Look at me, look 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 at me," and just that's it all day. Look at me, look at me. Oh, you'd be like, well, maybe we should just destroy this planet and just, this is horrible. Or maybe we should just at least put up some buoys so people know not to come here. This is a terrible place. Maybe that's what's happening with us right now. Maybe there's like some interstellar buoys set up outside our solar system that basically warn passersby, don't go here. There's just keep going. Mimosa sounds like a small furry animal. It does. Yeah, a mimosa. I saw a mimosa out in the jungle. So I went and snuck up behind it and touched it. Oh, the mimosa was so soft. But then it climbed on my shoulder, and I walked around with a little mimosa on my shoulder. Okay, mimosa is champagne and orange juice. You should try it. Man, I just don't. I'll take the orange juice, but I don't know. I just don't drink alcohol. It's not like any huge thing against it. For me to do something, I need more benefit. Not that everything I do is only for, utilitarian purposes, but like, yeah, I don't see enough benefit in alcohol for me to get involved with it. Oh, please show video of the fish trap in action, or figure out a way to make a better fish trap or a second fish trap. Well, the fish trap does work pretty well, although I'm not sure how to get video of it in action, because like you put it in the water and like a day and a half goes by and it's like, oh, there's a fish, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have a camera down there watching it for like a day and a half while waiting for some fish to swim into it. But you mean in action, like pulling it out of the water with some fish in it? I've done a few videos of that a while ago. I'll try to do one. I'll write that down. Okay. I'll add morning exercises again, because I didn't do that yet. Morning exercises. Okay, and fish trap. I don't know if I need to make a better fish trap. It does work pretty well. I don't know. Maybe at some point I will. Oh, and this kind of goes along with the do I raise meat animals question. I do catch fish and eat them, and crabs and snails. Like conch. No conch though, but like small conch. I don't know what they are. Some kind of sea snail. A laborer uses his hands. A craftsman uses his hand and his mind, and an artist uses his hands, his mind, and his heart. Okay. Hey, I made it. I hope you all are good, Blackwater boys. Who's Blackwater boys anyway? How many boys are there? And hello, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for the definition of Ubuntu. Ironically, I use the Ubuntu version of Linux. I enjoyed Zombie Chopper Town Trip video, and in the spirit of Ubuntu, it is up to the community to share with new viewers the sublime genius of Jaimie's inventions, gears and bearings. Oh gosh, I do love gears and bearings. Oh my gosh, gears and bearings, they're so amazing. When I was a kid, how there are kids who are just like, oh my god, candy. Oh my god, if I saw gears, I remember going into some store. I don't remember what the store was, but it was some kind of hobby shop or something. I think it was a hobby store actually, where they had radio control stuff. And up on the wall, I was only in there for a few minutes going through with someone else. I don't even remember who I was with. But up on the wall behind the guy at the counter, there was this package of servo gears, replacement gears for servos. And I was just like, oh my god, there's 50 gears in there, because it was for 8 servo replacements or something. and I got them. I don't know. I was with someone who ended up buying them for me because I was like 9 years old or something, and then I made some pretty cool stuff with those. One of them was actually in my movie I made, the Adventure Builder movie. It was the spider with the little like skinny legs. Well, they were coat hangers, but the spindly little legs. All the gears along that drove the legs. They were that. And yeah, anytime I found gears like in a surplus store or something, I would just like buy the whole thing. I remember once I was in a surplus store. There was this once like an army surplus store, maybe like 5 miles from where I lived, like during high school, and I would go running to there maybe once every week or two. And I'd go in, and one day they had this box full of just plastic gears. I don't know where they came from. They were about this big, and they had like the teeth around the big part, and then some teeth around a little gear that was like attached. And I was like, oh my gosh! And they were like 40 cents each, and I was like, dude, how much for the whole box? And he gave me a good price in the whole box, and I just took the whole box and ran home with it. It's like 5 miles. And then I started running with a backpack, just in case. I would also always run with like rocks in my hand, so I was used to carrying things because I didn't want to just build up my legs. I wanted my arms to be strong too. Sorry, what was the question? Oh yeah, gears and bearings. Hey, Tomaters. I would love to be a member. Ralphie. Oh, that's who it is. Blackwater Boys is Ralphie. If I could pick you, I would. YouTube doesn't do that, though. I don't know anything about that. No problem, man. Yes, I posted that, but not my work. It took the artist 2 years to complete. Would be awesome. Oh, okay. So, Jeff, I was asking Jeff earlier about this big steel dragon that he posted on his Facebook page. It wasn't something he built, it was something someone else built. That thing was pretty cool. Have you seen the Exploring with Josh mini documentary on the Vermont property? Well, my brother just mentioned earlier in a comment that I should not watch it. So I don't think I'm going to watch it. Let's see. Brian Lib says thanks. You're welcome. I don't know who was saying thanks to. I hope to be a member too. We're okay. Ralphie, who's we? How many people are the Blackwater Boys? Toilet extrusion. Okay. What's the coolest piece of junk you've ever found and repurposed? Oh, well, the first thing that came to my head. So I'll try to think of something even better. But the first thing that came to my head, and this was like amazing timing and like really rare occurrence, which is part of why I think it was so amazing. So when I was in Vermont, I first moved off grid, and like I came straight out of the city. Like I grew up in the suburbs, went to university in some city, and then lived in a city for a while, making money to save up to move off grid. So I moved off grid. I had no idea what I was doing, but I loved it. And I was like, okay, I want to build this dome. I want to build this house, this dome. And the first thing I'm going to build, well, after the foundation, is a steel pipe frame. So I'm going to go to the store and buy EMT pipes. It's like the electric metallic tubing, just like galvanized steel pipes. And I'm going to crush the ends of them and then put holes in them. And I needed something like 300 holes, or maybe it was 300 pipes, in which case it would be 600 holes. Anyway, either way, I needed to put like hundreds of holes, half-inch holes in these pipes, so I could put, attach them together with half-inch bolts. And, I was like, okay, let me just try drilling one. I don't think this is going to be a viable solution because, I'm out in the woods. I don't have much electricity. And I think it's just going to use too much electricity because at the time solar panels were still expensive and I did not have much money. So I drilled one hole and I was like, oh wow, I am not going to be able to drill hundreds of these. This is ridiculous. I got to figure something out. So the thing I'd made to crush the ends of the pipes was just like I had some steel box tube and made like a hinged thing on one end, and it just went like this, like a giant nutcracker. So I'd stick the pipe in and then I was like, well, let me see if I make another one of these with a hole in the bottom, and I can put a piece of a bolt in the top part, like a hardened bolt, and cut it off at an angle so that I can go and actually punch a hole through. And it was kind of hard to punch the hole through, but if I hit this part with a hammer, I could punch the hole through. Of course, hitting it with a hammer after, a few dozen holes, 30 or 40 holes, it eventually, kind of cracked the thing. Like I had to rebuild it differently to get it to do another 30 or 40 holes. And by the time I started, using the second one, I was like, there's got to be a better thing I can do here. Let me go to the junkyard and really take a good look. And back at this point in time, there was a junkyard near me that you could just go into and like browse. Oh, it was amazing. It did not last that many years after that, but it was at a point when I could go in and rummage through the pile, and that was amazing. So I drove into the junkyard, parked, got out of my car, and this is this huge pile of scrap metal, like big as a couple houses put together. Just this mountain of scrap metal. So I'm just, rummaging around in there. I don't want to like pull it out and make a mess because there's people who have to put this into containers or something. And then I saw the edge of this really heavy-looking cast iron thing. I grabbed it and pulled it out. And let me get a little drawing of what I pulled out. I'm not going to be able to get this exact. Yeah, something like that. So it's this big cast iron thing that looks like this. I believe they're called an arbor press. Now this part is on like a slidey thing here. So this part can slide up and down. Or maybe there's a part inside it that could slide up and down. Yeah, I think there's a part inside here that could slide up and down. And it didn't have anything down here. It was just a flat plate across. And the part that could slide up and down had no like tool at the bottom or anything. But it had enough parts that I got a hardened steel bolt shoved up in here that I cut off at an angle. And I used, these things that go on the back of your truck, the trailer hitch. Yeah, so I also found a trailer hitch which had a hole. Let's make this a little bit 3D. It had a couple holes in here that were the right size. So I bolted this onto the thing here, and then if I slid this slider up and down, it would go through the hole. And the slider thing also up here had a hole going through it that way. So I put this thing on there, got it in position, got this lined up so it would go through the hole, and I jammed a piece of rebar in here, and I would take it and lift it up and smash it down as hard as I could on the pipe that had been squished, where I was trying to drill this 1/2-inch hole. And I would just take this thing and and at first I could smash through in like within 10 smashes. I could punch a 1/2-inch hole in these pipes. But eventually I got strong enough, because I did this for like a while. Eventually I got strong enough at it that I could do it like 3 smashes, and I could punch a hole right through the steel thing, a 1/2-inch hole. And it basically made it so I could build the whole steel frame of this dome in a reasonable amount of time. And it was when I was very short on money. Winter was coming. It was so beneficial to have found that thing at the right time. And this thing must have weighed like, I don't know, like 50 to 100 pounds anyway. And it was exactly what I needed. And it's so useful. But let me think. Coolest piece of junk you've ever found and repurposed. Let me think of, that's the first one that came to mind, but let me think of something else. I don't know. There's some other stuff. Well, the next thing I thought of was, the main body of my stainless steel wheelbarrow. It was the housing for a slot machine. It wasn't like a really amazing, cool piece. It was just like a piece of sheet metal, but I made something with it that I use a lot, that I really like. And I'm sure at some point I'm going to think of something that was like a specific thing that was really cool. I did find a tent that I used for a while and some backpacks that were cool. Anyway, yeah, I found so many different things. Damn, so close, like gambling. Okay, any way to contact you if we get you something from your Amazon wish list? I got a survival food item you had on Amazon. I hope I did it correctly. Oh yeah, totally. Email me. My email address should be in the comments here. It's, if I remember correctly, theadventurebuildermovie@gmail.com. And on my Amazon wishlist thing, there should be a note that says my email address, and that basically says, let me know if you send something, so I can tell the shipping guy. But thank you. I've been totally wanting to try some of this weird survival food stuff, because at some point I might want to get some. Not that I think the world's collapsing or anything, but it might. It might be beneficial to have some backup emergency supplies. I've actually been thinking I kind of want to build a couple little bunkers up in the jungle where I have like 25 acres, and just to have an emergency, I guess it's my bug out spot. So make a few bunkers in there, like underground concrete things, enough space and some supplies in there, emergency food, some water and stuff, that if for some reason we just had to disappear for some political reason, some war, some environmental reason, or who knows what, it would just be kind of nice to have that. And yeah, I've been thinking about doing that, in which case I would want to have some emergency food supplies there. The Dutch University from, I believe, Leiden, Netherlands, built a solar car, ran races in Australia, and won. Oh, that's cool. So thank you, the bearded Doog. But yes, H. Ruttons tells me about a Dutch university built a solar car. I bet the people I bet the Dutch people, since they were living in a place with so little sun, they were kind of advantaged because they had to make a really, really good car to make it work in the Netherlands. And then they got to Australia, and it was like, whoa, so much sun. It's kind of like training at high altitude when you're a runner, and then you go back to normal altitude, and you're like, so much oxygen, I can be amazing now. I'm putting solar panels on a trike. Already has a battery. Oh, cool. That's Rolfie. Dude, show me some pictures. Post them on Facebook or something, or email me. I'd love to see them. I remember being in high school, excitedly watching you build. Oh man, that's cool. Build the banana building on the mountain. The world has changed a lot since then. It has. But I'm glad to still come back and watch Jay work with bananas. Oh, we had bananas this morning. I have half a bunch of bananas hanging up in my kitchen right now. Deshana has the other half. And this morning, well, all four of my kids were here this morning. They slept here last night, which happens regularly. And they saw the bananas, and the younger ones, the three younger ones, were just like eating all the bananas. And I had to be like, wait, stop. We need to save some of those for me and your older sister, because man, those kids, when they get a hold of bananas, they're just like, well, I'll eat 20 bananas all at once, okay? Everybody get out of my way, I'm just gonna howl. And I used to think that getting a whole bunch of bananas, like hundreds of bananas at once, was a problem, because you can't eat them in time, which would be a problem if I was by myself. But man, when my kids are here, I mean, I never have a problem getting through the bananas before they go bad. That's cool that you watched the videos in high school. I wish that when I was younger, like in high school, even before that, I could have watched some person. The internet wasn't a thing, back then. And in high school was when it was just barely starting. But yeah, I didn't have internet or anything like that. There was never anything about living off grid or homesteading stuff for me to watch when I was a kid. I would have been that would have been amazing. I remember once seeing, what's that guy, Richard Soa, building a plastic bottle island. He built his own like floating island. I saw that when I was in high school, and I was just like, oh my god, that's amazing. I wish I could have seen more of that. And that's one of the really cool things about the internet. You know, you can see people living, you know, their weird lifestyles that might connect with you in some way. It's a really cool thing. Thank you for being awesome and sending good vibes into the world. Well, thank you. I do my best. I'm glad to feel appreciated. I'm glad it's working to some degree. Do you catch and eat fish? I do catch and eat fish, mostly just in a fish trap. Although I do occasionally drag a line to catch something. Oh, some guy said he might send me some fishing lures. I hope those come. That would be amazing. He has a few traps by Deshana's place. Yes, I have some. Well, I have a fishing trap over at Deshana's place, just one, as it works pretty well. Question, have you thought of having a small machinery on the island, skid steer, backhoe, small dozer will surely make the work for moving earth easy? Well, kind of. I did build a small solar-powered bulldozer over at Deshana's, and it was very useful for flattening out a big area that I had to do there. Super useful for that. But over here, you know, the elevation, I'm like working up at the top of the hill and putting dirt down at the bottom of the hill in specific areas. It would just, I don't know, there's not a lot of room to maneuver machinery. So far I've just been doing it with a bulldozer. I mean, not a bulldozer, a wheelbarrow. Wheelbarrow and, you know, shovels, which is working pretty well. I also like the exercise. Although I have been thinking more and more about getting my bulldozer from Deshana's house and bringing it over here. I'll have to take it apart to move it because it's kind of blocked in by some gardens and stuff now. And I was thinking when I take it apart, maybe I'll put it together in a little bit different configuration that might be more useful here. But I just haven't gotten to it yet. I mean, I have a list of like 100 things I would love to do. If I had like 40 clones of me, I could, oh, that would be amazing. Chickens eat everything. I saw garden waste use, you can have a, a bit of a typo, have a worm farm box. Ooh, they make tea for the garden. Yeah, I could just have like a thing full of worms that the chickens could eat and stuff. Yeah. They would also, like you're saying, eat everything. So they'll eat all my pepper plants and all my potatoes, and yeah, they'll just eat everything. So I don't want to get chickens until I have some way to control where they go, so they can be in a certain area and not eat all my vegetables, or maybe protect my vegetables in some way. I don't know. The only issue is that you will have to convert them to solar. I don't know what that's referring to. Probably something excellent. When the aliens come and ask, take me to your leader, we're screwed. You should be our leader. Well, we should not have leaders who are like leaders by authority. Like, take me to your leader. It should be like, well, that guy over there is a pretty good guy. You should talk to him, you know. Yeah. Interstellar Buoys is a great band name. I'm going to start a band called Interstellar Buoys. I'm terrible at music, but I'm just going to do it anyway. Well, my kids like my music. My songs are generally pretty silly and have to do with farts and wearing pants on your head and stuff. Tuan Lee. Hi, Jaimie. Thanks for your answer the other day. You are so inspiring. Well, thank you. I don't remember what answer I gave you, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. The most inspirational. I don't know what Sam's talking about, but hopefully it's very inspirational. Oh, Keith, you've retracted a message. Was that one of those, Jaimie, you suck donkey eggs and you need to go to HE double hockey sticks? Oh wait, no, I'm going to retract that. Okay, it probably wasn't anything like that. But. The PVC bearings are a great idea. I fully agree. Yeah, those PVC bearings, like on my pedal boat, those are amazing. Like, never have any problems, no rust or anything. They're really great. Just remember that you already have a dozer, but a very small one. Yes, I do have a very small dozer. I don't know if I want to get a bigger piece of equipment to like move stuff around. Maybe at some point. I don't know. But I do enjoy doing things with my own muscles and stuff. And I think there's also something valuable about certain things taking longer, like moving dirt taking longer, because then it gives you a chance to really kind of connect with the environment you're doing stuff with. So if you just come in with a bulldozer and just it's done. But then if you come in with a wheelbarrow or a smaller dozer or some kind of smaller piece of equipment that takes longer, you spend more time moving the dirt or whatever, and you end up maybe changing your mind about how you want to do things as you go. You kind of end up getting feedback from the land. I like that. Hey Jaimie, this is from Shipwrecked Monkey. Hey Jaimie, another great live session. Thanks. Keep seeing a black window control box on your shelves. Are you planning on going back to the 3D printing at all? Giant styrocrete printer one day maybe. Oh, that would be kind of interesting. Except the hardest thing about the styrocrete is mixing it up. Once you actually have the styrocrete, it's pretty easy to put it into shapes. But where's this black control box? Anyway, there's a guy who was maybe going to send me a 3D printer that he manufactured. So he's busy though, so I don't know. But probably at some point I will have a 3D printer here and play with it again, yes. The Blackwater Boys are almost the same as the Adventure Builders. Oh, and I started this in 2015, and I am Ralphie. You are my inspiration, bro. Oh, okay. I get what the Blackwater Boys is now. Cool. Are you helping with Dee's new house? Okay. So Deshana is building a new house, and to make a long story short, I'm trying to stay out of it as much as possible. Not that I don't help, but I think this is one of those things where it's extremely valuable for her to do it personally. Like it is valuable to her personally for her personal growth to build her own house, and maybe also for her appreciation of me a little bit. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to. I do help her if she needs my help with something. It's not that I don't help her with anything, but that particular project, I'm trying to stay out of it as much as I possibly can. This is my brother saying, I used to take apart his toys to get gears. That is true. I remember I would ask my brother, hey man, do you really want this toy, or should we take it apart, man? This would be a good thing to take apart, right? Because it's got some good parts in it. Yeah, gears. Oh yeah, there are 24 of us now. This is the Blackwater Boys. There are 21 Blackwater Boys. Very unorganized though. Cool. Sounds like it might be more organized than the Adventure Builders Club, which is supposed to be not formally organized. Like any organization just comes apart. Comes to be spontaneously. One of the things I think is a problem is viewing the opinion of a celebrity as important. Oh yeah. The best example is an actor. While being an actor is fine, but keep in mind, actors are good at deceiving. Yeah, so Steve there is talking about going back to the topic of, people emulating people they see. So it is good to keep in mind that just because someone is famous or they're in a movie you liked or something, doesn't mean they're actually a good person. They could be a good person, could be a bad person. And even if they are a good person, doesn't mean they have good ideas. Often, and definitely too much weight gets put on people who are famous in terms of people paying attention to them and listening to them. It's kind of a problem. Question: what do you think about the solar panels on Deshana's boat? I want to buy them through her on Amazon. Why would you buy them through her? Oh, because then she gets some kickbacks or something? Yeah, the solar panels on her boat look great. They seem to be doing a really good job. So Deshana has this pedal boat that I made years ago, and she recently, and this kind of goes along with the question that the guy just had about, am I helping her with her house? So Deshana said she wanted to put a motor and a solar system on the pedal boat. And I let her do that all by herself. Well, I ended up, making the motor mount. Okay, fine. I put it together in the end. But it was up to her to research the parts and buy them and everything. And she did a great job. She got this little trolling motor and got some batteries and some solar panels, and some people on YouTube helped her get some of that stuff. And then she brought it all over and asked me to help her put it together. So I helped her put it all together and attach it to the boat and everything. But yeah, now her boat is solar powered and it works great. It's amazing. Not as fast as my boat, but she doesn't need one that fast because she's not driving it all the way to town. Although she's been talking about it. We'll have to talk about that. I have one of those. They are handy. The Arbor Press. Oh, man, I'm way behind on comments now, aren't I? The Arbor Press. Yeah, we're surrounded by food people. Keith, will you be your kids' track coach? Let's get training. I do exercises with my kids, not specifically track and field stuff, although I do want to at some point build like a track. Maybe not a 400-meter track. Like I could fit a 200-meter track. Well, I could fit a 400-meter track on my land over there. But I think like a 200-meter track, I could do that. And then just on my island here, I've been working on trails, so there's kind of a track around the island, so you can run around this island, and then there's another little island that's like right there. I mean, you can walk to it, but I'm making a little bridge over to it, so you can run around this island and run around that island and make a little course. I don't know how long it'll be. Maybe it'll be a quarter mile. I'm a scavenger by nature. Sometimes I reminisce about my great moments in scavenging. Got any of your own? Well, I talked about one. The Arbor Press, yeah. Hey Jaimie, thank you for teaching me how to work with fiberglass and PVC, especially heating PVC. I do it all the time now. Yeah, PVC is so much more useful once you realize, you can just heat it up and melt it and put it into whatever shape you want. It's really cool. The retracted messages are because I can't spell well. That was Keith. That's funny. No problem, man. More time to appreciate the work. I missed something. A bug out location is a wonderful idea. For instance, you don't usually have hurricanes. That's another reason. Hurricanes, yeah. You don't usually have hurricanes where you are. But what if having a place that you will be fine no matter what is very cool. Yeah. So one of the reasons I want to build a bunker up in the jungle would be, what if a hurricane shows up? I mean, it's extremely rare for a hurricane to show up in this area. I don't think it definitely hasn't happened in my lifetime. But you never know what's going to happen. It would be good to have an emergency spot. This house, I think, could handle a lot. But, I might not want to risk my kids in it in the event of a hurricane. Saw an arachnid on YouTube that had your weapons replaced by a balloon popping, paper burning blue laser and a red aiming laser. I've seen that too, yeah. At Blackwater Boys, careful, you might catch a gang affiliation charge. Oh, geez. Am I going to get charged with gang affiliation for adventure builders? Did you ever see my channel where I build domes using Tyvek airforms and a stucco sprayer for the cement mix? No, I have not seen that. Aircrete Harry. Oh, maybe I should look. Let me see. Aircrete Harry. I'll have to check that out. Using Tyvek airforms. Question, how's your board mill going, and are you making boards for your second story of your house? I'm not cutting boards yet. I have not yet built the lumber mill. However, it's kind of rolling around in my head. I've got my lathe set up, and the first part I think I want to do for my lumber mill is take this one axle that's over there that has a... Okay, I've got this. Just give me a second, I'm drawing a thing. Oh, that's not very good threads. Oh, whatever. Okay, I've got this thing kind of like this. And at this end, this threaded part is roughly an inch in diameter. And the saw blades have an inch diameter hole. So it'll fit on there right, but I need to lathe down a little bit of this down to like a really precise inch so the saw blade fits on it really snugly. And I also have a thing that fits onto this, like a threaded thing that fits on there, and I'll cut that into a bolt or whatever. But if I can get this lathed down to fit the hole, then I can mount a saw blade on this shaft, and I think that's the first piece I'm gonna make. And I'm probably getting pretty close to doing that. But I also want to think about how the rest of it goes together, just in case I want to change that part. Is your dome roof dragon scales done? Thanks for your answers. My roof is not done. I haven't done any work on it in, I don't know, like a month and a half. Partly because there are so few leaks in my house at the moment. Right now it's pouring rain. And, oh, I see a little drip over there toward the middle of the house. But once I got the dragon scales all the way around the outer part, there's so few drips left that it seems like kind of a not an urgent thing to finish. And then the other thing is, I only work on it on cloudy days that are not raining. So not sunny days and not rainy days. And most days here are either sunny or raining. But I'll get it finished at some point. I'm getting closer to the top. I don't know when I'll finish that. It's just not super urgent. Let's see. Eustace Conway made Turtle Island in North Carolina, where he teaches off-grid style homesteading and survival, etc. Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool guy. Although I don't know that much about him, obviously. But yeah, the little bit I did see about him was pretty cool. He was teaching people to grow food and live off the grid and stuff like that, and be respectful of the environment and not wasteful and all that. All that stuff I'm totally down with. Although when I typed in his name, a lot of the stuff that came up was about his place being raided by the authorities because he wasn't doing what they wanted, basically. And the weird thing was, in the interview when he was talking about it, he was explaining that he had complied with all of the health regulations, and he'd even passed their inspections several times. But eventually they just said, okay, we don't care that you're passing the inspections. We just don't like what you're doing, so we're shutting you down anyway. Which is what I was saying earlier about, the world right now is just stifling the real leaders, the people who can fix things, the people who are trying to make the world better. Those type of people are, life is being made harder for them, which is not what we need right now. We need life. We need to smooth the rails for those types of people. Let them do their thing. Let them fix problems. But the problem is, people in charge who are leading through authority don't like people who lead naturally, who lead because people voluntarily want to follow them. Thanks, Tomaters. William Glasser, how's it going, man? Sometimes saw blade shaft threads are left-handed. Oh, I did check this saw blade. This isn't actually a saw blade shaft, the thing I'm doing here. It is right-handed, so I have to make sure it's spinning the right direction when I put it all together. Because if you have a saw that spins like left, it can unscrew the saw blade as you're going, so you need to make sure it's spinning the right way, which tightens the saw blade as it's cutting. Let's see. Eustace rode a horse across America. Oh, that must have been fun. I read a book about him called The Last American Man, which is probably a little melodramatic. I'm sure he's not the last American man, but I get the sentiment for sure. Question, how many realistic watts can you get from a solar panel? I live in Buffalo, New York. Depends on the solar panel. That's like saying, how many miles per hour can you get out of a car? Depends on the car. Yeah, it depends on the solar panel. I have a 275 watt solar panel on top of my house, and it's roughly a meter by a meter and a half, if I remember, or a meter and a quarter. I don't know. It's somewhere a little over a square meter, if I remember correctly. It's 275 watts. So solar panels are amazing. They're one of the coolest inventions that's happened in a long time. Because like you can just the ability to put something in the sunlight. The sunlight is everywhere, right? It's everywhere. It gets everywhere on the planet. You can go anywhere on the planet where the sun shines, and you can hold out this thing, and you can get electricity out of it, which can run all kinds of things, of course. It's a really cool invention. Once I found a filing cabinet on the side of the road and some old metal dryer pipe or vent pipe. I turned the filing cabinet into a wood stove. Oh, it must have been a good, like, heavy-duty filing cabinet. To boil maple sap into syrup. Use dryer vent pipe as chimney. Oh, that is awesome, man. That's super cool. Yeah, I've found lots of stuff on the sides of roads. Even when I go to town now, whenever I go in, I often come out of town with, like, some wire or some springs or, like, a screw. It's just stuff, and occasionally I'll find some big thing, and I'll just drag it to my boat and bring it home. Oh, sorry, ha ha ha. Out of 100-watt panel. So you're asking me how many watts you can realistically get out of a 100-watt panel. Well, it depends on how you're using it. Okay, so the way I run my boats is I put the solar panels on the roof, and there's wires that come to a switch and then directly to the motor. So that's the most efficient way you can run solar panels, have them go directly to whatever you're doing. And in that case, you can get pretty close to 100 watts. Of course, it depends what your sun is like, how well you're aimed at the sun, how cloudy it is, whatever. But like in full sun, if it says 100 watts, you should pretty much get around 100 watts. I might get a little bit more here because I'm close to the equator. But anyway, if you're charging batteries with it, that means it's running through a charge controller and going into the batteries. You're losing a fair amount of the efficiency, like maybe a third, because the charge controller is going to waste a bit of energy, and then to charge the battery, you actually have to have a higher voltage than the battery. So you have to like kind of really force the electricity in there at a higher voltage or a higher pressure, than you'll be able to get back out of it because there's some resistance in the battery. So the more things it's going through, the more energy you're losing. And the way I usually think about it is, if I'm setting up like a solar system that's going to have a charge controller and an inverter and batteries and all that extra stuff, I count on getting like 2/3 of what the solar panel says in the end, more or less. I hear you. Solar is so cool. Yeah, solar panels are a really cool invention. Emma Blackbird. Hello, Emma. Did you know my channel is almost all boys watching? It's always exciting to see some of the ladies come. Maybe partly because I have a bunch of daughters and I want to get them interested in building and stuff, which they are. Anyway, do you see videos of them exploring your old house? Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it. Well, there are a few videos of people exploring my own house, and I was hesitant to watch them, and I've since had some recommendations of people to say, yeah, don't watch it, because when you watch people going through your old stuff, it's kind of like I don't know. I don't want to get emotionally attached to how people are using or misusing my old house. I'd rather just pay attention to what I'm doing here. Blackwater Boys, ideally you get 75% capacity for about 5 to 6 hours on the average. Okay, so William is saying if you have solar panels out in the sun, if you're for about 5 or 6 hours of the day, you can count on getting about 75% of the capacity. Emma says, ha ha ha, hello, I love your creativity. Well, thank you, Emma, that is great. And Blackwater Boys says, thank you, William, for letting me know about solar panels. And I have actually gotten to the end of the comments. And I'm at 10 minutes short of 2 hours. Well, we might as well go to the full 2 hours here. So if anyone has any other questions that you want to ask, I can answer a couple more questions. Or I can actually tell you what I've been doing a little bit lately. So I had to go to town twice this week. Well, I didn't have to, but I went to town twice this week because a container came in, which is, you know, stuff shipped from the United States. And so I went to pick up a bunch of packages because, you know, I have this Amazon wish list, and several people sent me messages saying, hey, I got you this and this and this. So I knew I had a bunch of stuff coming. So I went on Tuesday, and there were two containers coming, one on Sunday and one on Tuesday, and I figured I could pick them both up on Tuesday. But I got there on Tuesday, and they're like, oh, the second container is delayed. Sorry, but here's the stuff from the first one, which was amazing stuff. I got like some, what's it called? Mirror spray paint. So you just spray it on a piece of glass. You basically make a mirror. Some chrome pens. Where did it go? I got a new tripod. This was not on my Amazon wish list. This was just someone sent us a bunch of stuff for my family. But I got a new tripod for my camera, which is way better than my old one, which was kind of falling apart. The new one actually gets tall, which is really nice. And some other stuff. I did end up making a video, so I got all the stuff in video. And then I ended up going 2 days later on Thursday to get the rest of the stuff that came on the second container. So I have a bunch of new stuff here. Oh, and one of the things I got was 2 new computers. They're actually super used and old, and they had no hard drives, they didn't come with a charger. They were missing a bunch of stuff. But one of my old computers was dying, like the screen went, the little mouse pad thing went. So I took the hard drive out of that one and put it in one of these new computers that I got really cheap because they were used and, you know, we're missing hard drives and stuff. So now I have 2 computers again. I really don't like having only one computer because, you know, when I'm doing these YouTube videos and stuff, if I only have one computer, I'm one breakage away from being dead in the water. So I always like to have 2 computers. One I use on the internet and the other one never goes online. So the one that never goes online is not going to get any viruses or Windows updates or anything. Windows updates are kind of like viruses, you know. Let's see. How would you go about making a solar moped? The first thing I think of is make a sidecar and maybe make a little roof over the sidecar or over both of you. Yeah, actually a little roof over the sidecar wouldn't have to be too high. Although it might be nice to also have a roof over yourself. Yeah, I would probably put a solar panel over a sidecar. I mean, you could just make a thing, but it would, you know, if you just made a roof on a moped, it would make you kind of unstable. There's also fold-out solar panels, but it'd be nice to have it out all the time. I don't know. There's so many different ideas, different ways you could do that. Someone tell Jaimie to make shorts. I told him about it the other day when I talked to him. I sent him something from that list. You did send me something from the list. You sent me some refillable paint markers, which William says are amazing. So it's basically just a marker that you put paint in, and you pump the marker a little bit and paint, and you can draw with the paint. It's supposed to be really good. Wait, what was the first part of that? Oh yeah, do shorts. So yeah, maybe I should start doing some shorts. Like maybe just do like 30-second lives once in a while, just to give a heads up about what I'm working on and stuff. Frederick Brinkrat, hello. Hi there, Jaimie. Late again today, no problem. Hope all is fine with you guys. Still didn't get to take pics of my handy dandy do-it-yourself shovel. I'm looking forward to see that. That will be amazing. It's tucked away in my vehicle for just maybes, for just in cases. That's great. Do you still use the Panasonic Wait, do you use the Panasonic notebook still? 1 second. Okay. So this is my main computer, and one of you guys sent me this from, oh, I don't remember what their company was called. Tech Tough or Tough Tech. Anyway, they make Black Cobra computers. And this is a Panasonic Toughbook, and this company refurbishes them. And one of the guys in the company, or maybe they all do, I don't know, watched my videos, and they sent me this one for free, which was amazing because, you know, I use this to edit all my videos and, you know, make video games and stuff. And I had another Toughbook, which was my other computer that would go online, which was, you know, the one I would risk going online with, which could get viruses, and that's the one that died. The one I got from someone who sent it to me for free. That one is still going great. Yeah, this one is still amazing. It's been amazing, and everything is great with it. But my other one died. So let me grab it. Oh. So I went on eBay and got 2 of these, and this came with no charger, didn't have a hard drive, so there's no operating system. It was missing some other stuff. So I took some of the parts out of my broken one and put it in here, and so now this is my second computer. And I bought 2 of these. They're like, one was $120 and the other one was like $140. And these are like really expensive. They're really expensive new, but you can often find them pretty cheap used. And the reason there are so many used is because they're tough. So they last pretty long, so people stop using them and they're still in good enough shape to use. And I get them because they're supposed to be waterproof and shockproof. And, you know, living in a place by the sea, I never know if they're going to be damaged or something. I don't want something I have to keep replacing, so I try to get something that's in good shape, or that can handle a lot of use. All of your hard work and persistence and ingenuity has made a positive impact on my life and how I do things. Thank you. Keep it up. Well, Alex, you're welcome. I'm glad it's been useful. That's really cool. Thanks, man. Thanks for letting me know. I love getting those messages because then it makes me feel like all this work I'm putting into these videos and, you know, all that stuff is actually worth it. So that's really cool. Steve says, example of stifling is actually your home. I talked with the building department. Oh yeah. Here about alternate construction. If your home isn't stick built, you have to hire an engineer to say it's okay. Yeah, so earlier I was talking about how the creative people, the problem solvers, the people who can save the world, the people who fix things, they're really being stifled in our modern world, and that's dragging us down, man. Those are the people we need to just say, go. Do anything you want, basically, because they solve problems, they fix things, they come up with new ideas. And in North America and in a lot of other places in the world, you can't even build your own house. You know, you have to get permission, and you can only build certain things. And it's really sad when we get to a point when, as a species, you are not allowed to build yourself a dwelling. You cannot build shelter for yourself. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Oh, Jeff, do I ever want to read this? Just watched the Exploring with Josh video about the old place, and it's very good, very positive to you, and said, and someone just bought it, and the main dome is in great shape still. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad it's still in great shape. Aircrete Harry says hi to Jeff. I figure you would know Jeff, because Jeff is also super into Aircrete. You guys must hang out and do Aircrete stuff together. That'd be cool. Not that I think you live near each other or anything. All right. Well, I'm at I'm at an hour and 59 minutes here and 30 seconds. So I guess I'm gonna shut up in a second, and I hope everyone's having a great day. And thank you for the people today who said that, you know, what I'm doing is having a beneficial impact on your life. That really, that means a lot to me, you know. It makes it really feel like what I'm doing is worthwhile. So that's really great. Thank you. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And if anyone has one more question, you have like 10 seconds to say it. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you. Thanks for streaming and the YouTube videos all of these years. See you next week. Yes, see you next week. I hope everyone has an excellent day. Okay, I'm going to hit the button. I'm going to hit the button. Where's the button? It's right up there. Oh, one more comment. Okay. Are you sure you want to stream? What's the meaning of life? Oh, right when I'm closing the thing, you cheeky little. All right, I'll see you guys later.